What's good? Good people, it's your girl KB. You know what I do and you know why I do it. Today is Tuesday, December 22nd, and it is 3:38 in the AM now. It's 5 minutes later than the last time I popped in a video. Peep this. This one, you ever come away from church and, the chit chat is about the sermon as you leave the church building, and the message is so good, that all your conversation is like a sermonette on top of that sermon, and you find yourself saying, now that'll preach. This picture is from the Messianic Jewish Alliance of America, which technically, folks, Jews for Jesus, that's what they used to be known as. I don't know if they still use that title, but basically that's what it is. It usually starts off with a little pic or meme. It says, training ourselves to wait for God's timing before moving forward is difficult, but the reward is success. Now, the first few words, training ourselves to wait for God's timing. Now that'll preach. Discipline. We don't like that word. We don't like the word obedience. We don't like the word sin. But all of that describes us in a nutshell. We don't want to admit it to ourselves. We don't want anybody else telling us about it. I don't go to church to feel bad. Well, for some of the things, you should. Now, if you've separated yourself from your conscience, that's a whole different problem. And I didn't sign on to talk about that. I signed on to talk about this. Training yourself, disciplining yourself, bringing yourself into submission to God's will. Yielding your will to God's will. In other words, that word that we don't like, being obedient. Now, I've shared. I'm taking some new stuff with me into the new year. And, last year was full of death. Need to say that. Death on so many levels. I can't even begin to articulate. And I need to say my degree is in writing, and I can't begin to articulate all of the physical, mental, and emotional deaths. And I want to say that's like toward the last 6 months of this year. But I can also say each one, or each instance, served to bring me to another level. We talk about being part of the vine. Every year there's this time where these vines have to be pruned in order to be fruitful. And I want to say, for me, once the pruning is done, and it's talking about death, once you cut something off from life, it dies. Once the pruning is done, if you've ever been around any kind of agricultural setting, I spent some time in the Central Valley, so of course I know about grapes and vines. Once that pruning is done, they set aside a burn pile, right? So now I'm in my burn pile. And you know what burning does? It's a purification process. You rid yourself of all the trash, all the garbage. So if you hear me say new year, new me, trust and believe, new year, new me. And trust and believe that the new me is a seedling that must be handled with care. And that's me to myself, and me to how I relate to other people. Amen. But let me get into this reading. It says it was in his 601st year, in the first month, on the first day of the month, that the waters had dried up from the land. 601st year, 601, January 1st, new year, that the water had dried up from the land. Then Noah removed the cover of the ark, and looked, and behold, the surface of the ground had dried up. By the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the land was dry. Then God spoke to Noah, saying, Come out of the ark, you and your wife, your sons, and your sons' wives with you. That's Genesis 8:13 through 15. Now, notice that the land had started to dry up, but they waited another month because they were instructed to wait another month. You know, we see things and say, oh, that looks like a good idea, or oh, that looks like it's doable, and we start acting. Not once do we listen for God's voice to tell us whether movement is in order. Amen. Let me continue with this reading. The right time to emerge from the ark was not when the waters had disappeared from the land, but when the earth became dry. When the earth was able to hold, when that thing was able to sustain. Excuse that buzz, that's my glucose meter. Despite its appearance, an early exit from the ark would still be into a world still unlivable, would risk the extinction of many of the animals. So, if I move too early, it could mean my extinction. It could mean the extinction of my idea, the extinction of my vision, or the extinction of God's flame if I move too soon. We need to get into the practice of knowing, not thinking, the practice of knowing and revisiting the fact that God doesn't need us. We like to think, oh, because I have this vision, or I have a call, or I know my purpose, that God is going to wait on you an indefinite amount of time. That's not true. He's going to go to the next person he gave the vision to. Amen. And there's plenty of examples. David had a vision, and then he showed up and showed out, and that vision was stunted. It's like, yeah, you're still going to have blessings, but I can't let you do, because you have a tendency to do X, Y, Z. Noah had a vision. And Noah liked to drink. If you read the story of Noah, it's very interesting how the family divided up because of that. Moses was used, but Noah liked to tell God what he couldn't do, or all his shortcomings, basically telling God he made mistakes. Noah only got so far. He was blessed, but he only got so far. So, all that being said, just look at what you're bringing Examine you.